Fort Knox. Unfortunately, she didn't know anything at all about his marital status. But the very thought that she might have spent a week in the arms of a married man sent a cold chill slithering down her spine. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a few months ago I distinctly knew you by the name of Tom Zacharias. He ran an impatient hand through his thick, dark brown hair. About that. Save it, she interrupted, holding up her hand. I don't particularly care to hear whatever explanation you're about to fabricate. I believe you wanted to talk about Derek Forsyth? When he nodded, she went on. And I assume you wish to discuss his pending suspension for biting another little boy? His mouth thinned into a grim line before he gave her a short nod. Yes. You have to give him one more chance. I haven't been here long enough to be familiar with his past behavioral patterns, but your son's teacher said he's... nephew. Frowning, he then flashed her the same smile that he'd used to seduce her almost 4 months earlier. Derek's my sister's little boy, he corrected. I'm not now, nor have I ever been married, Arielle. She was relieved to hear that she hadn't done the unthinkable, but his devastating smile and the intimate tone he used to say her name made it hard to think. You don't have to be married to have a child, she countered, doing her best to regain a bit of her equilibrium. I suppose it's a personal choice, he observed, shrugging. But I, for one, won't have a child outside of marriage. Whether you do or not isn't the issue here, Mr. Forsyth. Call me Zach. I don't think... Before she could go on, he took a step closer. And marriage may not be the issue, but I can't have you thinking. What I think is irrelevant. Desperate to change the subject, she tried to concentrate on the matter at hand. Derek's teacher said this is the 3rd time he's bitten another child in the past week. She glanced at the teacher's recommendation for suspension on top of a stack of papers on her desk. And the school has a strict 3 strikes policy when it comes to this kind of behavior. I understand that, but he's only 4.5 years old. Can't you make an exception this one time? He asked, turning up the wattage on his cajoling smile. If you haven't been told about my sister's accident by some of the other teachers, I won't bore you with the details. But Derek's experienced quite an upset in his life in the past few months, and I'm sure that's the reason he's been acting out. Things are getting back to normal now, and I'm sure he'll settle down. Believe me, he really is a good kid. Zach, or Tom, or whatever he was calling himself these days, was putting her in a very awkward position. On one hand, rules were rules, and they had been put into place to discourage students' undesirable behavior. If she made an exception for one child, she'd have to make it for all of the children. But on the other hand, if she didn't give the little boy another chance, it might appear that she was punishing him for the actions of his nefarious uncle. Would it help sway you if I promised to have a long talk with Derek and make him understand that it's unacceptable to bite other children? He asked, apparently sensing her indecision. He walked to her desk and, propping his fists on the edge, leaned forward until their faces were only inches apart. Come on, darling. Everyone deserves a second chance. After the way he'd lied to her about his name, then disappeared without a word of explanation, she would debate that issue. But his close proximity and hearing him call her darlin' with his rich Texas drawl caused her to shiver. All right, she finally replied, forcing herself not to lean away from him, even though it made her extremely nervous being so near.